place in 2019 was easy. We went out to the community, we had excursions, we had people come in, everything was so easy. And then at the start of 2020, when I signed up for it, I thought this is going to be great. I've got stage 3, we can do all this great stuff out in our community, and then COVID hit. And it completely changed what we were able to do. So I think a big challenge for us last year was looking at how we could take action in our community without being in our community. And that was a challenge that I didn't overcome, but the kids in their ideas were able to overcome that really well. So our goal we chose was Zero Hunger. When we had our first get together as a group of kids who wanted to do Creative Koalas, we ran elective groups in our school, and it was one of our electives that we ran last year. And in the very first group session that we had, I just introduced the kids to all of the goals. Didn't realise that you have a limited number of goals to choose from, and I just let them go and choose any goal, and the majority of the kids chose Zero Hunger. So then we had to go back to Lynn and say, we're actually doing hunger, that's not on the list. So that was fun. They were really, really passionate about Zero Hunger. We had two of the kids in our group whose parents worked in Compassion and one at the local foodway, and they started talking to the rest of the group, and that's where they decided that they wanted to do Zero Hunger as our goal. So we chose Zero Hunger up there. Now, there was a long process. We ended up with 4 community projects, 4 projects that we ended up doing similar to St. Bridget's. It kind of just grew and grew and grew. We started off with a single project, and actually our original idea was working with our local foodway, because we had a father and somebody in our group who was running our local foodway. So that's where the original project started. Again, we were challenged through COVID as to how that would work. Generally, they often take volunteers to go and cook food and deliver food. We couldn't do any of that last year. So foodway was our first project. We ended up with 4 projects. So I just thought I would quickly give you a bit of an overview of each project and how they came to be, and then I've got some tips and things that worked well. So the first thing we did, particularly after 2019, some of the feedback we got from the judges was that we basically did everything right, except we had failed to research first our local community. So we've done a little bit of research within our school, but we didn't go wider. So last year, we really put effort into that. So we spent a lot more time in the preparation phase. We got our blog set up early, so we started our blog to do our digital journey. We got that set up early. We got a lot of surveys out to our school community and our parents, and then our wider community, and collected that data. And we used our blog as a tool to be able to spread that wider and wider. So we used our research to drive our project. Now, very similar to St. Bridget's, we had a really clear idea, the kids did, about we're going to do this and this and this, and we're going to go into shopping centres and we'll do displays and do all this kind of stuff, and we'll feed the homeless, and great ideas, fabulous ideas. They were really passionate about them. But then when they got the research and they were able to see the research from our local community and our school community, they changed their ideas based on that research. So that was driven by the research, and the students had to really reflect on that and think about what our community needed and come up with some new ideas that would not only still be interesting for them, because they were leading that journey, but also would meet that need in our community. So one of the greatest things that we got back from our research was that 90% of people had never heard of the sustainable goals, so they had no idea of them. They were going home to their parents, and really it was only the kids that had been in my class the previous year, it was only their families who had heard of them, so many people had never even heard of the goals. And the other thing was that overwhelmingly people who did the survey said that if they were going to combat hunger, they thought the best way they could do that was to grow their own food. So we had all these other ideas about just making foods and providing food packs and having a breakfast club, and the research showed that actually people just wanted to know how to grow food sustainably. So that flipped our project a little bit, and that's what we went on a journey of creating a garden. So I've got a very similar story to you guys. So our first project was creating a garden do was to be able to spread the message. So not just do a garden for ourselves, but I wanted our older students to lead the way and teach other people in our community about what they were doing. Now, our community was very limited last year to just our school community, so they teamed up, they become leaders of kindergarten, and it was stage 3, stage 3, leading our kindergarten kids through how to grow a garden, how to prepare a garden, through what composting is, teaching our young people, the youngest people in the school, what it meant to grow fruit and vegetables and why it was important and how they could do that in a sustainable way. So it was a challenge for our stage 3 kids. They wanted to get in there and do it all. I had to keep reminding them about you're actually leading our kindergarten kids, and they loved it. Our kindergarten kids really, really loved it. We put our garden bang smack in the middle of our infants' play area, and we were convinced at the start that it would be destroyed at every playtime, and it wasn't. Similar to you guys, it was amazing to see the passion that our young kids had and the respect they had for that garden after they spent some time with their older kids. So they went around the classes, they explained what they were doing. They worked every week with our kindergarten classes, going into the classes after we had our visits from our guest speakers. They would then go and share that knowledge with our kindergarten kids. And it was just really nice to see those connections grow and to see our old kids lead young kids in their learning about sustainability. So I don't think there's any age that is too young to start learning. Our kindergarten kids really, at the end of it, could tell us about one of our videos. It was our little Oscar, young kindergarten boy, telling us what sustainability means and why they should follow sustainable garden. So it's really great. It's some pictures. So kindergarten, we didn't sell our food. We got to kindergarten, picked our food, and we gave that to them to take home. So that was something we did. We used some of it when we did our feast program, and we gave those meals away to people. Our students ate them, and then we gave extra away to people, families in our community who needed them. But I think this was the very first harvest of spinach. It was very quick, so it was great. But our kindergarten kids loved it. They all took it home and worked this most amazing. So great. I'm sure that they will never read about that. So it was really great to see our garden grow, and that was our main project. The next project we had was our food wasting drive. Again, we had linked up with them at the father who runs Medowie came and gave us an hour talk and talked about the needs in our community, and really, I think, taught our students that hunger in our community is a really big problem. Prior to hearing that talk and having some questions with him, their view was that it was only the homeless people who would be hungry, that everyone else who lives in a house, they would not experience hunger. And actually that's not what the stats show. And I think that was a real challenge for our students to know that families who live in a house where both parents work still experience hunger due to a range of problems. And last year being one of the most difficult years in COVID. So we talked about, that was probably about May last year, so COVID had hit, people were losing jobs, and he talked about that with our stage 3 kids, about that impact and how many families food waste helps in our local community, not just homeless people. So I think that was real eye-opening for our students to see that hunger is a problem in all communities. It's not just something that homeless people face. So that was a real learning curve for them. thought about at the start of the year, that kind of just came organically to us throughout the project through some of Lynn's information that she just kept passing on, and that tied in really well with our goal of zero hunger, and we learned all about through that, not just how to cook, but how to cook sustainably and tied into some activities. So it's a fabulous program. Even if it doesn't link to your goal that you're doing here, I would recommend everyone just jumping on board with this. Our kids loved it, and you get so much support. They send volunteers in to help you. It is such a great program for the kids to get everything into, and it's just so wonderful. I would do it again. It's so good. Now, some of the things, I just got some of these things that we found really surprising up here. I haven't touched on, so I don't want to do, I don't really want to do that too much. I think one of the things that really surprised me at St. Bridget's is just how easy it is to get the kids passionate about this stuff. Like you don't have to do very much. It's really want to be the ladies. They are complete drivers of their learning. We just need to connect them into a few key people, and they will take it and run with it. So they, just like Nina said, they run like key to this, letting them be the drivers, letting them lead the way, just empowering them to make decisions is all you really have to do. So that was something that 2019 I tried to really shape our program myself, and then last year I just let that all go, and it worked so much better. Like I think just letting go of that control and letting the kids take the lead there is just a much better way to run it, and we have great results. I do have some tips that I just was writing down, thinking to myself the other day after Lynn spoke to me. I wish somebody had told me these things. So tip number 1, document your journey early on. That is something that we struggled with in 2019, and so last year we made sure from the very first session I took photos and videos, and I got the kids to write down reflections from each lesson. So document your journey from the very first session. Make sure you take plenty of photos and videos, because when it comes time to putting your journey together at the end for your submission, you will need all of that, and you don't realise until it's too late that you don't quite have enough. So take so many photos and get the kids to take photos, get the kids to start writing little information down from each part of their journey, so that you can use that in your documentation. The next one is use resources and information provided by Lynn and Picture You in Agriculture. They've got so many resources and so many workshops and so many helpful hints for you to take part in. So that is something that we did in 2020. Just jump into every opportunity that they give you, even if it doesn't directly link to the goal that you're doing. Make sure you just use all of those resources, because it really makes the journey much easier. There's so much there that they provide. The next one, link in with external agencies. So we've got so many external people provided, contacts from Lynn as well, and Picture You in Agriculture provide plenty of links to people in our community champions. So make sure you link into those external agencies, because they are such a wealth of knowledge. If you get stuck on something, if you don't know what to do with a project, if you don't know even who to talk to, these community champions really help you in every step of the way. So link into those external agencies, get them coming in to talk to the kids, and that's a great way to get your project moving, to build some momentum. The next one, let the kids lead the journey. So this is really hard at first, but empowering them to make the decisions and take the lead on that encourages their ownership and meaningful learning for them. So encourage them to think big and help them with the tools to take action, but let them really lead that journey, and you'll get much better outcome and much better results from your projects. Market your projects and spread the word. So it's probably not something I thought about at all in 2019, but definitely last year in 2020, one of our goals and one of our projects was spreading the word and making the goals famous, and really getting the word out there to not only encourages the kids in their journey, they love to see themselves in the newspaper and see what they're doing in the community. They love to hear stuff on the radio, so that really encourages the kids to keep on going. It encourages them to keep on working, even though it can sometimes be difficult. They get really excited when they see that, they see themselves in the news. So market it, spread the word, and that's a really great way to keep your kids going and going and going. And the last one that I've got is to link everything you do back to the goals. So for us, it was really important to try to grow global citizens. Like that was our aim as teachers, and as a school, that was our aim in this project, was really to grow that global citizenship. And we did that by linking everything, all of our learning and all of our projects back to the whole 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So not just the one goal that we focused on, but continually link that back to the goals, and showing the kids that they are part of a global world, a global community where they can make a difference. So just continuing to link back to the goals in each part of what you do was really important. One tip that I didn't have up there though was probably the most important tip for teachers. I know that we are really time poor, and in 2019 we tried to do this as an added extra project on top of our general learning and our general programs, and there wasn't a lot of time in our day and in our weeks and in our terms, and it was a really hard slog to get it finished and trying to fit it in. In 2020 we really decided to scrap our programs. Learning from what we've done the previous year, we realised that the Creative College program ticks off so many outcomes in nearly every subject. So we didn't need to do it as an added extra, that we could actually make that our main program for the term, or for 2 terms actually. We made it for a whole semester our main program for science, HISI, art, and a lot of our English outcomes. So changing your teaching programs and making Creative Koalas the centre of your teaching programs for those subjects is a really helpful way to allow time and to give you guys the space, to give the students the space to do this well, rather than trying to fit it in on top of what you're already teaching. So yeah, look at your outcomes in your subjects, change your programs, and put Creative Koalas front and centre there. That's my tip.